All right, welcome everyone to our box opening today. So today I got some lovely Ikoria boxes that we're going to crack open. But first, before I do that, I just want to thank Brimstone Games for delivering these yesterday. They came early in the morning, dropped them off, really easy, no problem, hassle-free, no contact, all that good stuff. So before we get into it, let's take a look at our Buy a Box promo. So as you can see, we got our shiny Godzilla here. Look at that, all that shiny luster. The funny thing about this card too is it doesn't actually, if you look, it has its quote-unquote magic name right there, but as you can probably tell, that doesn't actually exist as a magic card. So this is the one Godzilla card that is in fact a true Godzilla on its own. So with that out of the way, let's get to the box. So first you can see we have our glorious box topper. And I like how they put it inside the box, so there's less chance that there's any kind of hanky-panky going on here. So let's take a look and see what we get for our Godzilla card. And we get Godzilla Primeval Champion. You can see that again. I love how shiny these are. These are nice. And this is actually one, I know it's only an uncommon, so it's not quite as exciting as going to be one of the rares or mythic rares. But this is one of the cards that I actually really wanted to get because I'm a pretty big living in player. And, you know, if Modern returns to a time when we're not all just playing companions, you know, 2 mana, 11/11, being put in your graveyard to be resurrected is pretty sweet. So there's that for us. So I'm going to move the box out of the way. And we'll get to the actual booster pack. So I'm not obviously going to go over all the commons and uncommons, but I'm just going to lay out so we can see kind of what we're dealing with. I'm familiar with the set, but wouldn't say I'm intimately familiar. I know a lot of the higher end cards, like our companions and such. All right, so we get Clash of Titans. So first uncommon. Our Hornbash Mentor, Channeled Force, and Slitherwisp. So I remember some people talking about this card when it came out, being our 3/2 flash for a 3. But, you know, it's hard to tell how things are going to go right now. Be interesting to see what happens tomorrow with the banned and restricted announcements, what we end up having. So, you know, as a first pack, it's probably not, it doesn't look that exciting. You know, the rare's kind of wishy-washy as whether it actually becomes a great card or not. So we'll just put a spot for a rare over there. Okay, next pack. Oh, and there's our first, I'm going to call them comic book art cards. Take a look at that bad boy underneath the camera. See how it looks. I mean, even if the card isn't playable, I mean, I still think these things look awesome, just as a distinct look and magic. Okay, so there's our first uncommon. Second, whoops, a little bit of spoiler alert. Or sorry, that's our third. I guess, yeah, that counts as one of our uncommons. And then we got the Mythos of Snapdax. And then a foil Splendor Mare. So that'll go in our rare spot. Goes there. I can put this guy in its own little spot up there. I remember looking at that card because they spoiled when Mara was talking about his spoilers where he gives you just a little tidbit, and they're talking about it's squirrels, and it was kind of a big deal thinking they're going to bring back squirrels, and there's literally, that's the only squirrel card in the set. So it's a bit disappointing, but you know, hopefully this means it'll lead to more in the future. So there's our commons. And our uncommons. Alright, we got the Dire Tactics. You don't control a human, you lose life equals that creature's toughness. Seems okay in that kind of a deck. And Bastion of Remembrance. Into the battlefield, create a 1/1 white soldier, and then when a creature you control dies, each opponent loses life and you gain 1 life. That seems awesome for any kind of limited or anything, right? We're just making tokens and having stuff die. And here's our first companion, so Garuda, Doom of Depth. Now I know that one saw a lot of play when the set first came out, but I mean I think it's all Yorian and Lucas right now. But still a pretty cool card though. I mean I think the whole cloning thing where you get to chain a bunch of him together is pretty awesome. Yeah, I think I watched a draft, Melissa, with that card, the Regal Leosar. Somebody was drafting, and I was watching a video, and they took that card, and it looked pretty strong. I don't think they ended up using it that much, but it's a pretty awesome card. And here's our second one. So it's one of the commons, so Cavern Whisperer. So when this mutates, each opponent discards a card. So you know, kind of a basic run-of-the-mill. But even like the basic run-of-the-mill cards, they look awesome in that style, in my opinion. Yeah, and then we get our uncommons. Creature you control with trample have you may assign may have this creature assign its combat damage though it weren't blocked. So funny enough, that used to be kind of what they used for a while in the core sets instead of trample. So it's funny that they've used it now to incorporate with trample. Because at the time they thought trample was kind of, I guess it was kind of a overly complicated mechanic. So they thought this kind of just assigning damage however you'd like is, you know, a pretty cool way to do it. And we have another comic book card. We have a Luca, which I know is a pretty popular combo mechanic. Especially in all the Jeskai decks where you basically just use it to polymorph a creature into Agent Treachery. So that's cool to get the alternate art one. Definitely makes the box exciting. And then a foil, Blazing Valdi. And a companion. Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't even know they made tokens for companions. This is the kind of stuff you miss out if you don't get to you know, have a traditional pre-release and everything. Yeah, I think this is like one of the first sets I can remember in a while where there wasn't one particular card that I really, really wanted. Which, I mean, isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just kind of, I guess it takes kind of pressure off the box so you're not sitting there kind of wondering if you're going to pull the one card that's going to make or break the box. You can kind of have a little more fun with it and just take it as it comes. So it's funny that in this set, all these cyclers that have kind of payoffs, all themselves cycle. So it's like even if you don't want to play them, and you draw them later in the game where you don't have any other cyclers, it itself just is a cycler. So, and the fact that it costs 1 is just crazy. Like, cycling always, like, the best case used to be it would cost 1 colored mana. Alright, so going through all the commons, and then we get Swallow Whole, Weaponized Monsters, and another, I'm not sure what this cycle is called, but the kind of cave painting look cards, Mythos of Brachos. And we get a sweet cat token now, lifelink cat token. So I'm always interested to see what ends up being kind of the quote-unquote rare uncommons. Because usually you'll get like maybe one of those in a box, and it's usually like the really good removal spell or the really good counter spell or something they know that everyone's going to want. So they tend to make those card in the slot that ends up getting printed a little bit less. So Phase Dolphins, it's a pretty cool card. Sleep Dart. Oh, I think it's one of those, looks like it's probably one of those top-down design, sorry, cards. Okay, so we get Mystical Subdual, Grim Dancer, And like the counters too. The counters are really cool in this set. I like that it's now you can actually have things that produce counters, and they let you choose what abilities the creature has. I think that's a really cool step. A crystal. Oops. Ooh, our first Triome. Pretty cool. And now we get a foil Cavern Whisperers. There you go. So we get a regular and a foil on the same card. I'm going to put Luca back on top because he's... There he is. Alright, and then our sweet dinosaur token. So it's cool that they brought dinosaurs back and they didn't just limit them to Ixalan. Because let's face it, they got kind of a bad rap in Ixalan. So it's nice that they actually get some kind of representation. Okay, so here we go. Some more commons. Alright, so Wingspan Mentor. Put a flying counter. Yeah. Human and non-human is a big thing in the set. Skull Prophet. Put the top 2 cards of the library into your graveyard. So that card actually seems okay though. Like the fact that it generates mana. It's kind of, for 2 mana, it seems to kind of be like the standard now. And then you get the effect of milling yourself too if you don't end up using the mana. So, and the body isn't the worst, right? I mean, it's a little fragile, but I think all the mana dorks are going to be fragile. Duskfang Mentor. Lifelink counter, target non-human control. And our second companion, Karuga, the Macro Sage. So this one, I remember seeing it early in a lot of the Fires builds people were building. And I think some still play it, but it's clearly not one of the top dogs. Wrong pile. Oops. Let's move that over that way. Okay. Okay, so we got a bunch more commons. Evolving Wilds. It's weird that Evolving Wilds was a staple in Terramorphic Expanse, which is the original card, kind of fell off as far as being the choice to be reprinted. The Millionth Plummet, Reflexes, Neutralize. I think that's one of the kind of the hyped counter spells in this set. Not that it's necessarily gonna be a world beater, but the fact that it's a 3 mana counter spell that lets you cycle if you need to draw cards is pretty sweet. All right, and our second uncommon is Sonorous Howlbonder. Parcel Beast. Yeah, this one's pretty cool because you look at the top card. If it's land, you put it on the battlefield. If you don't put that card on the battlefield, put it in your hand. So essentially, it's I can't remember. I'm blanking on the name, but the 1/1 I think from the Dissension that lets you for blue and a green that lets you do the same thing when it came into play, but now it's mutating. And then we have Fronland Felidar. Creatures you control with vigilance have 1 tap target creature. So that's kind of a cool build around. I mean, vigilance isn't something you normally see as a build around effect, so it's kind of cool that the Dinosaur Beast token. So it's kind of cool that they're kind of going in a different direction, especially now that you can put things like vigilance counters on creatures. You can kind of build your deck a little bit more. All right, so more common Garrison Cat. It's kind of the that kind of effect. Adventurous Impulse got reprinted. That's kind of cool. It's a card that I remember people were talking about before is kind of playing in some decks. And then Whisper Squad, I think, is actually a pretty cheap cost of this kind of effect. I remember some of the old cards, I think it cost like 3 mana for 1/1. Now, I think you didn't put any more mana into it, but at least this one you can just keep paying 2 mana to keep getting additional copies. And then they only cost 1 off the hop. I think this is a popular card in Limited, it's my understanding. Being able to mutate on cheaply. Alright, and then we get to our uncommons. So, just a generic Cycler, Stormwild Caprador. Ooh, Necropanther. I like the name. So when this creature mutates, return target creature card with converting mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Oh, that's pretty cool. And we got a rare. So the Sea Dasher Octopus. I love that art though. Man, that is really cool. Look at that. Nasty looking 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea stuff going on there. And dragon tokens. Yeah, I know. Like I was saying, like I even like a bad card like the Cavern Whisperer, it's like still looks cool. I'll take that over getting like just a generic card, you know, generic common art. Like, oh, that's cool. The dead weight now has like a gigantic bunny on the art. Whenever you cycle a card, may have Reptilian become a 5/4. Reptilian Reflection become a 5/4 dinosaur with trample and haste. Oh, that's pretty cool. I like the art and the effect. Yeah, another one of these. Crystals. Boon of the Wishgiver. Cycling, draw 4 cards. I think that's crazy though that all these cards have cycling 1. Like that's just nuts. Like cycling 2 used to be like the standard, and now they've just changed it to not even requiring mana. Ooh, the Shark Typhoon. This is a pretty cool card. I've seen that one in action before. It's kind of a staple, I think, of a lot of the Jeskai decks, just because it's you know, it's a cycling threat, and it also lets you get around things like when you play your Fire's Invention, you're not allowed to cast spells. Well, because you're just cycling this, it doesn't actually count as casting your spell, so it still allows you to use your mana effectively. And then we have a foil reprinted Fertilid, and our Thornwood Falls, and our Human Soldier. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that Shark Typhoon card. I mean, even beyond just the reference to Sharknado. Yeah, exactly. Well, I think it was kind of funny that with Eldraine that we were missing the commons from the set because they made it look like you really didn't see them that often. And now it's odd to be seeing like just like regular commons in the packs like that. You know, it definitely makes opening packs much more exciting. That's interesting that it's a. I guess it's still odd for me to see colorless cards that are not artifacts. I'm used to it just being like Eldrazi that are not colorless, but it seems like they're running with that theme. Okay, Migration Path, another one of those. Fight as 1. Target human you control gets +1/+1 and indestructible until in turn. Target non-human you control gets +1/+1 and gains indestructible. That's interesting. So you can do one or both. So if you have, I guess this is really impactful in draft, right? Where you can have a million different creature types. And Archipelago. Interesting. Ooh, our first of the crazy enchantments. So Titan's Nest. This one I could end up. I think this is the one that people thought was going to be probably potentially the most broken, just because you can. That last clause about exiling a card from your graveyard to add colorless mana. And the only rider being that you can't use it to basically just fireball your opponent out of the game. And then a foil Sudden Spinnerets. Put that in our rare pile. All right, let's get through. All right, let's keep going. Flourishing Fox. Now that one I know is in the red-white cycling deck. That's a pretty good one. Oh, here's another Regal Leosaur, just the regular art. Barrier Breach. Just exile up to 3 target enchantments. Holy cow, for 3 mana? That's crazy. Man, that is pretty good. Then you can have Boggles decorating. And then Crystalline Giant. So begin your combat on your turn. Choose a kind of counter at random that doesn't have from among. Put that counter. Well, that's pretty good because you can't hit the same. Obviously, you can't hit the same one twice, so it just keeps getting more and more abilities every turn. That's a really cool design. And a foil Thornwood Falls. Look at that. Shiny Thornwood Falls. Ooh, and look at the Kraken. That is one scary looking Kraken. Wow, that is awesome. They really did a good job, I think, with the art. Only on the tokens, but like these cards, like I'm really impressed with that. Yeah, I agree. Like with the funny randomizing it is. I don't even know how you do that in some kind of tournament. Like I don't know if you just have to, I guess, assign a number to each one and then roll a die, and I don't know. It does seem like I do agree. It does seem like a bit of a nightmare. All right, Serrated Scorpion. This guy, I remember, I've seen him lately in some of the like Catavan decks, the sacrifice ones. Yeah, because I mean, it's pretty good. Drains 2, gains 2. It's a 1-mana creature. Does a lot of things. All right, Reconnaissance Mission. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. So it's like kind of like Coastal Piracy, but you get the cycle. Savvy Thundermare. So whenever you cycle a card, you may pay due. If you do, to 2 damage to creature, and you gain 2 life. Wow. Like clearly, it's not on the deck, but man, that is a pretty strong card. I can imagine limited though. Being able to have like a shock that gains your life. Unbreakable Bond. Well, that's cute art. So return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield with a lifelink counter on it. Pretty strong. And another ultimatum, our first, I think. Destroy all non-land permanents your opponent controls. I like it. Clean, easy, just blow everything up. But the great part about Magic is like a card like this isn't necessarily just a game over card, right? There's plenty of decks, control decks, etc. that don't really even care if you blow up all the permanents. And what is this? Looks like they gave us some tokens in the form of Menace, First Strike, Hexproof, Lifelink, and Reach. That's cool. Reminds you of like the bricks they gave you for Amonkhet block to put on your stuff. Yeah, I can imagine too. Like I just picture somebody like an F&M building a deck with that Crystalline Giant and just having it all worked out and having this complicated method of like randomizing to figure out what the counters it gets are. Oh, I see another comic art. Cloud Piercer. Oh yeah, this is the one that lets you draw a discard. And that's the pile. Alright. Another one. Well, that's really cool. I didn't even get 2 in the same pack. Wow. Whenever it mutates, other creatures you control get +X for X number of times this creature has mutated. That's pretty cool. Jubilant Skybonder. Creature you control flying, have spells your opponent control, cast this creature, costs 2 more. Again, that's really cool. I like the mechanic build around cards. You know, especially flying, right? Because that's so easy to build around. Our Sanctuary Smasher, so a good way to give creatures first strike in combat. And our first mythic, the Broodmoth. Look at that. One of those cards you read and you just have to read it again because you're not sure if you read it right the first time. And our Zenith Flare, look at that. That's a pretty card. Just a ridiculous bunch of text. And the best part about this card is, remember I was talking earlier about all those payoff cards that just randomly have cycling on it. So if you kill those off. When did they introduce Mythic? Mythic got introduced with Shards of Alara. So that would have been, oh boy, it's hard to tell, probably about 10 years ago. All right, and yeah, so we got our second. All right, so there we go. Ooh, an otter, a thieving otter at that. Okay, so Polywog Symbiote. Nice little frog there. Each creature spell you cast costs 1 less cast if it has Mutate, and when you cast a creature spell, if it has Mutate, draw and discard. Oh, that's a nice little payoff built around. Back for more. Return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. When you do, it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. See, this seems like the real big payoff for playing, if you want a reanimation spell. That's crazy, getting a free fight. Especially if it has like fight already built into it. And we opened up the King Kong himself, Kolga, the Titan Ape. Speaking of which, if you reanimate him, that's 2 fights you get if you want. So you can just use it as a 2 double removal spell. That's pretty sweet. I love me some big dumb creatures. Okay, it's getting through some of these. Let's see what we got. Primal Empathy. At the beginning of upkeep, draw a card. If you control a creature with the greatest power among creatures in the battlefield, otherwise put a +1 counter on target creature you control. They seem to be really pushing these kind of effects that if you control something at the beginning of your upkeep, but I haven't really seen them get played in a long time. Even though a lot of them do look pretty good. Okay, so Avian Oddity. It's going to recycle, put a flying counter on target creature you control. Pretty sweet. Oh, I love the art on this one. Chittering Harvester. And this mutates each opponent sacrifices a creature. Nice. And our rare is Death Oasis. Wow, that's got a lot of text on it. For only 3 mana. Reminds me a little bit of an Ascendancy. So, pretty cool card. And our backwater. And our Sharknado Shark. Look at that. He's not just your regular shark either. He's got all those spikes and everything on him. Just a really nasty looking fellow. Alright. Let's keep going through these bad boys. Pacifism, always great. Facet Reader. Valiant Rescuer. When you cycle another card for the first turn, create a 1/1 white sword. Can you imagine if it didn't do that? Just said whenever you cycle. Holy moly. So it's not bad. 3/1. Oh, the Hollow Bonder. Porcupine. Porky Parrot. Look at that thing. Some sort of abomination to nature. So this is interesting because I guess having the mutate cards on it, it keeps it easy to track how many times you mutate it. So that's pretty cool that you can do stuff like this with it, where it counts how many times it's been mutated. And our rare is another Mythos. Mythos of Aluna. So it allows you to create a token that's a copy. And when the token has one in the battlefield, it's a creature. Okay, so it allows you to fight again, yeah. So that seems to be a theme, right? Makes sense, given you have monsters, you don't want them just sitting around. They'd be doing some fighting. Okay, let's see what we got. We've been hitting a lot of Whisper Squads lately, so if we had this pack, man, we'd be in the money. Another Zenith Flare. Ominous Seas. Now, I've definitely read this one before. So you draw a card, it puts a counter on it, and then you have 8 counters. You can remove them and create an 8/8. And the interesting about this card is not only does it have cycling, so if you're later in the game, you just want the card, but if you notice, it doesn't require you to sacrifice when you make the 8/8. So if you're playing, like, let's say EDH or something, where you can kind of more tune your deck to kind of exploit these kind of effects, I mean, you just get to keep pumping out 8/8s. And imagine that you just drew, like, I don't know, 30 cards or something in a turn. It's a lot of 8/8s you get to make right away. Auspicious Starix. It's another one of these mutate guys. So when he mutates, exile the top cards of your library until you exile X permanents or X number of times the creature mutated. Put those permanents on the battlefield. So a cool way to cheat stuff into play. And I believe it's our third companion. Letry. If I'm saying that right. This is most notable for being banned in Commander before it even got released. Just for the fact that you get to just play it in every single deck, because the restrictions, unfortunately, are already in place in Commander. So, I mean, it sucks that they had to do that, and I definitely understand why they did it. It just, you know, it's not fun. And then, of course, it sparked the whole debate about staples versus cards that you always end up with, and I think it comes down to the fact that it's always in your hand versus always in your deck. Like, that's a big difference. Guaranteed to always be there. I can imagine the first, couple times it's probably fine. But after that, it probably gets really annoying knowing that they're always going to have it. Now, again, you do have to be playing blue-red, so I don't know. It's a slippery slope for sure. Alright, so Will of the All-Hunter. Another one of these combat tricks. A crystal. Flame Spill. So deal thwarted target creature. Excess damage is dealt to that creature's controller instead. So this is kind of like an unhinged card, I believe, or unstable. One of those sets had a card like this, where effectively gave the spell trample. Now, obviously, they can't word it as trample, so they have to change the wording to be excess damage. But that's still a pretty cool effect. I'm wondering if we're going to maybe see more of this potentially in the future, and maybe it might cost a little bit less than 3 mana. Because that's definitely a really cool way to not punish burn players for having to use their removal spells on, let's say, like a 3/1 or something, And then our next comic book art is old Narset of the Ancient Ways. She's doing her kung fu, I guess, kick. I don't know what you want to call that. Some sort of martial arts move. So that's pretty awesome. And yeah. So we've only hit one regular mythic, but we've hit 2 comic book art mythics, so can't really complain about that. Alright, let's cut through these. Okay, another Jubilant Skybonder. Heartless Act. So destroy target creature with no counters on it and remove up to 3, or remove up to 3 counters from target creature. So this seems like it's going to be one of those pillars of the format, kind of cheap removal spells. I'm actually really excited that they printed this because I was looking at the format before Ikoria, and we really didn't have any sort of restriction lists, or in this case, a minor restriction on it, not requiring counters. And the best part about this is that even if it's totally useless and that you can't kill the creature, at least it can remove the counter. So if you had 2 of these, potentially you could still kill the creature. I mean, not in a great way. But still, I think it's just an awesome card, and definitely one I think we're going to see a lot of. Okay, so next we have Lord Dracus. Another one of those cheap mutate cards. So returns instant and sorceries. And I think the art on this is, again, I just can't say enough good things about how awesome these look, especially when you have them in hand. Our first double rare, so another Frontland Felidar. And a foil Blitzleech. It's interesting too, if you look at the mythics we've got, they don't have the black border on them versus the in the rares too, versus the commons and commons. Yeah, we just need to get the Vivian and complete the cycle of alt art planeswalkers. Okay, so Exuberant Wolf Bear. Attacks may change the base power and toughness of target human you control to Exuberant Wolf Bear's power and toughness until the end of turn. Interesting way to. I don't think I've ever seen that really on a card, so it's kind of cool. Now we get a Majestic Aurakarn, and just kind of a basic effect. Gain 4 life, not bad. Put that over there. The General's Enforcer. So legendary humans you control have indestructible. So obviously it's trying to give that gentleman in the back there indestructible. So it's kind of a cool little build around. Hunted Nightmare. So enters the battlefield, target opponent puts a death touch counter on a creature they control. So what's really cool about this too is depending on the matchup, if your opponent doesn't have any creatures, obviously there's nothing to put a death touch counter on. So kind of negates that drawback. And then if you have a 3-mana 4/5s with evasion, that's pretty strong in my book. So the only thing that's going to hold this card back is the double black, I think. And then our Flame Spell. So get to deal some trample damage in the form of burn. Another one of those awesome companion foils. Or foils, I should say tokens. Pouncing Shark, Shore Shark. Look at that. So first uncommon, another Crystal, another Bastion, and I don't know what you call them, the Legendary Mythic Cycle of Mutators. So this one is Netheroy, Apex of Death. So he's the one that returns any target creatures with total power 10 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield whenever he mutates. So it's cool. And it's cool about the whole mutate mechanic, especially like these ones that trigger off mutating, is that you can get this guy down for only 5 mana and then put one of the cheaper mutate cards on it to get this to trigger. So we're still on the hunt for the foil rare in this box. But so far I can't say I've been too upset. Got a Brood Moth, a couple Planeswalkers. Okay, Migratory Greathorn. Just lets you do rampant growth. So interested to see how many end up in the box of the alternate art cards. It seems like we got a fair amount. Now, this is one of those great cycling cards because not only does it cycle for 1 mana, but it actually has an effect that you want to use where you give your creatures haste and trample. So if you're playing one of those sweet cycling decks, it gives you a card that can give you a little bit of boost later in the game. Monstrous Step, another crystal, and Yorion. There he is. So this is the one that everyone's playing with in Standard at the moment. His companion requirement's pretty easy to do. You just need 20 more cards in your starting deck. So in Standard, you're going to be looking at an 80-card deck, which is kind of funny that it's happening kind of without any issues. Nobody's really getting punished too badly for trying to play 80 cards. There might be, I guess you could say that's probably not too hard with all the great cards we have in Standard right now. And the best part about the companions is really you only need 1 copy, right? So you don't need to go out and get a playset of companions if you're just going to play them as your companion. Yeah, another Footfall Crater, Skull Prophet, Dire Tactics. So we're starting to see some double ups, which is cool. And then we have Yadaro Wandering Monster, so our giant turtle. And I believe this is one of these is an alternate art Godzilla card. I can imagine. I think it's the red one. So when you cycle it, if you cycled it, was it 4 more times this game? Yeah, put it on the battlefield. So it's not too bad. So it gets shuffled back in. You get to keep playing the game. And there we go. Hit a rare. Foil King Kong. All of his foil gloriness. Can't be too sad about foil King Kong. And then we get some of those guys. Okay. More squirrels, turtles, all these weird kind of creatures. Okay, Rooting Moloch. So here's battlefield, exile target card with cycling ability from your graveyard until the next turn you may play that card. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, that's that's kind of cool. Unfortunately, it's a 5-minute creature, but still, it's like the effect is pretty cool. Getting to reuse your cycling. Ivy Elemental. Oh boy. So this card, even though it's an uncommon, used to be, I believe it was an Odyssey. I actually have a copy of this card from Odyssey when it was a rare. I guess back then, just getting an X+1 counters is pretty good. And then we get crystals, followed by our Eerie Ultimatum. So return any number of permanents with different names from your graveyard to the battlefield, which is pretty cool. Getting to just swamp your opponent. So I like that they brought back the ultimatums because regardless of how good they end up being, I mean, this kind of effect, right? If you're playing an EDH deck, right? I mean, just no brainer, right? If you want to play something fun and splashy. Ooh, a Wolverine. That's cool. Survivor's Bond. Okay, Hornbash Mentor. So enters the battlefield, put a trample counter. So it seems like, obviously, there's a cycle of these. Our trample, not trample guy. Blitz of the Thunder Raptor. So deals damage to target creature or planeswalker equal to the number of instants and sorceries in your graveyard. If that creature or planeswalker would die this turn, exile it instead. Huh. So there was that, there's that one card, I think, in the Guilds of Ravnica block, right? I did something similar to this, but I had flashback. I love playing that card. Okay, and then we have Offspring's Revenge. So this looks like it's the super good enchantment in Mardu. So you get the exile and then create a token, exile a creature, and then create a token of it, except it's a 1/1. It gains haste until end of turn. Which is pretty sweet, right? If you get some certain abilities, you don't really care if it's on a 1/1. A little bit of a build around, but a cool card nonetheless. Look at this bad boy, the Catbird. Looks like it should be trying to go after itself. Wonder if they go after their own self, go after their young. All right, let's see what we get here. We got our first double comic book art. That's funny. Didn't know that was possible. Learning a lot about those cards. Okay, so Charge the Forever Beast. Reveal a creature card. Deals damage to a creature planeswalker equal to the reveal card's power. Cool. A little expensive, but cool. Lead the Stampede. Classic. I like having Vivian in the art. That's really cool. It's always a fun card. Another General's Enforcer. Everquill Phoenix. So when this creature mutates, create a red artifact token named Feather with sacrifice Feather, return target Phoenix card from your graveyard to battlefield tap. That's really cool. That doesn't even care that it's this particular Phoenix. So you can bring back, any Phoenix you like. So if it just happens that Phoenix that you're playing with just happened to maybe not be able to come back on its own ability, well, this one can bring it back and get its own chain rolling again. And a foil Anticipate. Is that Ugin in the background? Right there? I don't know. It looks kind of like him. This card, I remember thinking when it came out that it was going to be a little bit more popular than it ended up being. So I think it's a solid card. It's just not quite the staple I maybe thought it was going to be. And why are they still doing this? Like, really? We need to do a non-token card? I thought we were past those days of requiring to have just ads on all the cards. Alright, let's see. That's pretty cool. It's kind of like the Iosoran. Sauron. Another Neutralize. Another Bonder. Another Ivy Elemental, one of my favorites. Ooh, our second land. Nice. Mardu's always good. And a foil Avian Odyssey. So if you want to cycle and put our counters on things. Oh, and speak of the devil, here's our feather counter. Look at that thing. Man, wouldn't that look nice in foil too? Man, that would be really sharp. Ooh, Dreamtail Heron. So when this mutates, draw a card. Pretty snazzy. Another one of our Rooting Molochs. The Sprite Dragon. So I believe, Melissa, this is the Baby Dragon, I think. Or Baby Godzilla, I should say. That's this card. And yeah, this card is pretty crazy. It's got prowess, except that it's a +1 counter. So that's pretty insane. Flying Haste. Man. I know somebody would love this card. Ooh, Insatiable Hemophage. Look at that art. That is just disgusting. Look at that thing. Just that tongue. God. That poor creature. So in this mutates, each opponent loses X life and gain X life for the number of times this creature has mutated. Pretty cool card. Ooh, we get our another giant turtle. So if you want to build around them, we're almost halfway to the to a playset. Alright. Do our commons. Okay, Mystical Subdual. I think we saw that one earlier. Kind of meh. Okay, Glowstone Recluse. Cool for Spider. Mutates, puts 2 counters. It's kind of like a pretty stock kind of reach card. The Mentor. This one puts a lifelink counter. And our third King Kong. So if you like King Kong, I think this was definitely the box for you. Okay, another Clash of Titans. Love the name. Cunning Night Bonder. So when you cast a spell with Flash, the spells you with Flash you cast cost 1 less and can't be countered. So kind of a cool card for that sort of deck. And there's another Lead Stampede and Obosh, so another companion. So this is the Sacrifice deck companion. And so if the source you control with odd commander cost would deal damage to a permanent player, deals double that damage instead. So that's pretty crazy. Pretty nutty. Doesn't require much really to do a whole lot. Besides being a 3/5. That's actually a 6/5. So far we've hit 4 mythics. I think 2 lands, not too bad. And a ton of companions. Another Dream Tail. So I think it's like 2 duplicates we've hit, and then in the comic book arts. Okay, Huntmaster Liger. That's the, gets +X. So that's not bad though, because it gives you team, giant boost. So this one mutates, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. So there is that reminds me of that Golgari card. I think that's double black, double green that returns a permanent card. So pretty strong. I mean, that card saw play at the beginning of the standard, then stopped after a while. Zagoth Mamba, so our Nightmare Snake. So this is funny because this card doesn't actually have mutate, but when it mutates, so it's a good base creature because it only costs 1, has a triggered ability for it, kills creatures. So the Quartzwood Crasher. So whenever one or more creatures you control trample deals common damage to a player, create an XX dinosaur beast token with trample or X the number of damage that creature has dealt to that player. Yeah, that's pretty good. Your typical undercosted fatty, That also makes more fatties. Good. Obviously, if they kill it right away, you don't get any kind of benefit, but yeah, I think the idea is that you're going to have trample creatures the turn you play it, so you can get a token right away. So we are down to 4 packs in this box. So we'll see how we do. Yeah, I know, right? I mean, that's when the restrictions actually come to bite you. If you had Torbrand into Obosh, you'd just be, I don't know, just then if you do multiplying numbers, just you need to increase the life totals I think players start with in that case. Mysterious Egg. So I believe this is the Godzilla, one of the Japanese only Godzilla cards is that card. Okay, another pump spell. Frill Scare Mentor. So this gives a creature non-human menace. Escape Protocol. So this is one of those cycle build around cards. I'm sure nobody's old enough to remember, but there's used to be Astral Slide, Lightning Rift were kind of the original ones of this. Astral Slide exiled the creature, then brought it back, and then Lightning Rift shocked something. You paid 1. So this version exiles an artifact or creatures you control, then return to the battlefield. So obviously it's not as good as exiling any creature. But still an interesting build around, if you have a lot of triggered effects, come enter the battlefield effects. Our third Triumph, so that's pretty good. We end up with the blue, red, and green one. All right, here we go. Okay, another parrot. Oh, here's the recluse. One of those. And another mythic. So we got Riel, the Everwise. So is it colors? It gets +1 for each instant source in your graveyard. And when you discard 1 or more cards for the first time each turn, draw that many cards. Pretty cool. So essentially it's like an enchantment that you just want to kind of keep around and let her do her thing until you're ready to get the late game, which has a gigantic amount of power. Okay, so we're also going to get a play set of this this card in the box. That's interesting. Okay, so we get Titanothrix Rex. So this is the companion to my Godzilla promo. You can see. Obviously not as cool. Anywhere near as cool. Okay, and then we got our Stitious Starix as a mutate card, a Necropantha, and a Skycat Sovereign. So it gets +1 for each other creature flying you control, and you can create a 1/1 flying catbird token for 4 mana. So there was a card prior to the Sovereigns in, I think I'm getting the name right, in Dissension that was very similar to this. It gets +1, and it cost 2, and it was a 1/1 flyer. But it had that forecast ability where you had to reveal a card and get to do your upkeep, and it was kind of messy because I think you had to reveal it to actually get the effect. Like, this is obviously much, much cleaner. Easy way to play. I mean, I think the Wizards just kind of gotten away from that whole idea that cards have kind of downside, and they kind of want to make it more new player friendly, where you're not just going to want to hold the card in your hand and not be able to play it. All right, so we're on our last pack. So I think we ended up with, what, 5 mythics, so can't really complain about that. Essence Scatter, that's cool, I got reprinted. Okay, Sanctuary Lockdown, humans you control get +1/+1. Tap 2 and tap humans you control, tap target creature and opponent controls. There's a little bit of, you definitely see a human and non-human sub-theme. Another Pouncing Shore Shark. Boneyard Lurker, so that returns permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. And a Dirge Bat. So this is kind of the card I remember seeing a little bit talked about when he talked about like a mutate deck, because he destroys a creature or planeswalker and opponent controls. So that's pretty cool. Love that guy. All right, so we'll do a little bit of inventory and then get on to our second box in a moment. Move some stuff out of the way. So if you take a look at our foils, we ended up with the Zenith Flare. I think it's pretty good. And yeah, I mean, like, anticipate some cool stuff. But that to me seems like clearly the standout as far as our foils went, at least non-rare foils. And don't forget about our Godzilla. That's there. And then we'll do these guys next. So for these cards, I mean, how many do we end up with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That's pretty good. I mean, that's, 1 in every 2 packs you're going to end up with one. And obviously multiple packs we ended up with getting multiple comic book arts in the same pack. Plus we got a foil. So those seem like they're, maybe one in a box. And obviously our big standouts are going to be our rares and mythics. So we end up with 1 mythic, or sorry, 2 mythics and 1 rare. And then a bunch. So we end up with that's uncommon. And these are commons. So even as far as uncommons go, I think we ended up with quite a few of them. So it wasn't like there was all commons the rest of the way. We ended up with quite a few. Yeah, so these are all the uncommons. So we ended up with 7 uncommons. And then the rest were our commons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 and then a 4-ly guy. And then as far as our regular cards, we got our Dirge Bat. And we got our lands down here. Companions. King Kongs. And the Shark Typhoon, that's just a good card overall. So it looks like we got about half the companions. I'm sure we didn't miss anything. We ended up with about half companions, and I thought we had another. Might be in the. Well, I might have put it in. Actually, put it away. So that's kind of what we ended up with as far as like three regular mythics. So overall, we ended up with 5 mythics. Not bad. Not bad at all.